is to go into Google, or whatever search engine you use actually, and just type in PBIS matrix middle school. And just click on a couple of examples that come up, and you can see a lot of people have their whole handbook maybe on there. But you can see different examples from middle school. As I said yesterday, there is a ton of information online, including middle school lesson plans, including different trainings, all sorts of things. But you can see that different schools use it differently depending on the culture of your student population. Oftentimes you want to make sure you include anything that's important around that. Does anyone see anything that looks kind of interesting or?
No, this one's not responding, so
Oh.
get off of that one.
They broke down, they added like drills and assemblies, being in the office. I wouldn't have thought to include some of those things.
Yep.
That's cool.
Is that the first one?
No, this is like fourth.
Yeah, I'm having
Central
trouble
middle.
opening.
That's really slow.
Oh, the internet?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I put inside your Google Drive is a blank matrix, and let me just get to that. I'll open it up here, and then what we can do, and I would encourage you to leave that open as far as the example teaching matrices, because it can give some pretty good examples, especially when you're stuck, like, how do I want to say this? So let's start talking about deer. Do you
I
see
don't know,
one?
like, I'm assuming these are maybe places that are sort of further ahead. Like, I guess, like, I think we have a need for some of these things. I don't wanna micromanage the kids though.
Okay.
I think that, I was thinking about that last night,
Okay.
about finding a balance between giving them enough but not giving them too much,
Yeah.
so they can actually,
Remember it.
or remember, or just kinda learn, have a better job of like learning things. Like, I feel like if they get a barrage of stuff, they're
Yep.
just, some kids are just gonna be like, psh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, that was just something I was thinking.
No, it's great,
About-
because we do want them to work towards independence, right?
Yeah.
The goal is for them to be able to do that. So how do you do that with academics then? How do you find that balance of teaching them a new
Well,
concept?
I mean, I guess this is the thing is like I feel like with academics, depending on the student, it varies more. Like, I don't know, I mean, that's what I know. But I feel like with this, I know it's not one size fits all, but I guess I'm having a harder time seeing it as, I see it as more of one size fits all than maybe what I do with the kids in the classroom, if that
Okay.
makes any sense. I'm not saying it is, but, I just I think about stuff after the fact. I
Okay.
always do that, and just like not giving them too many things to sort of learn at one time, which we wouldn't do that anyway.
Yes.
I wouldn't
Of course.
do that on the first day of school
And
anyway.
Yes.
We're gonna focus like holidays and
Yeah.
criteria
Mhm.
and kind of narrow it down.
Would the idea be to develop this, vision or this overarching set and then choose where we want to focus to start?
You can do it that way. There are some schools that do that. There are some schools that do it all. I certainly think it's very important that we develop the whole thing together. And then we can take a look at your data. I'm interested when either Diane or Sally are here to really take a look at your PowerSchool data and see where the some trouble spots are and what your data is saying. But yeah, we should have it all in one, and then you guys can decide as a team based on what your data shows, what to focus on. There are some schools that put a whole lot of language into the matrix. There are other ones that really just want to highlight a couple of things in there. And the rest of the information is put in the lesson plan. There are some schools that use pictures, that might be a little bit too elementary for your students, I don't know. I worked with a middle school once that, one of their reinforcers was that they took pictures of the students, so if students earned a certain amount of things, they took pictures of the students, and actually then the pictures were enlarged and put next to the posters on the wall to show that this student was demonstrating that, and the kids just thought that was like the best reinforcement ever, that they were up there, in the hallway.
Greg and I may be able to do the discipline log report. We just pulled it up because we have the admin.
Yeah, I've never run it before.
I've never run it before, but I think we have the access to do so.
Okay.
I don't know if that comes up, but we'll see.
I'm not super familiar with Power School, so if you can figure out how to do it, great. We'll take a look. All right, so let's talk about the acronym DEAR then. Where did that come from? What does it stand for?
We took a look at our core values
Uh-huh.
and wanted to come up with just something memorable. And our mascot's a stag, so
Oh.
somebody came up with DEAR.
Okay,
And it stands for Determination, Enrichment, Education, and Responsibility.
okay,
And then there's criteria, that kind of adjectives that fall underneath those.
all right. Those are great characteristics.
Yeah, I mean, we just went through a NEAS evaluation,
Okay.
so that was something that a lot of everything else Kim was one of the co-chairs, I was on the steer committee. It was one of the things that we sort of based
Yeah.
a lot of other things, like it was sort of the foundation for all the other things that
Okay.
we did in terms of like school-wide rubrics and those sorts of things, so.
So do you have a school-wide rubric? I mean, you guys
Yeah.
have already started this whole thing. That's great.
Not for behavior,
Okay,
Yeah.
academics we do.
okay, that's great. If maybe we can take a look at that and even be able to make sure that some language is consistent and all of that. So does everyone here want to stick with DEAR? As to be consistent?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think it's great that you did that work already and that you have that, because that's certainly gonna help us move along. All right, so what we are going to do now, I will type, sorry about that. I will type up here so that we can see what we're putting down, what it looks like. All of you, I will share this with all of you. I believe you have access, but I just translated it into a Google Doc. So I will share it with you, and if you want to be able to see it on your computer, we can do that. Okay.
Trying to do synonyms for determination and enrichment.
So the first one is determination, right? Then did you say education?
I don't know whether it's
It is
education or
education.
enrichment, one of them. Yeah, education.
Do we have it on a hard copy somewhere, like not the big huge
It's on the
poster?
website.
Oh, it is,
I
okay.
don't know if Linda posted hers, I can see if it's not stuck to a wall.
Yeah, mine is.
All right, so while she's looking for that example, if we have the expectations there on the left, what are the settings in your school?
Cafeteria,
Okay,
hallway, classroom.
I think the gym would be one. Oh, the auditorium one?
okay. Anything else? So what about bathroom? Is that something that,
I think the biggest issue with the bathroom, I'm not saying there aren't kids that don't fool around in there, is that kids use it as like an out. Like there are some kids that for whatever reason are always asking
yeah,
to go, and there's a myriad of reasons why.
sure,
but you start to see patterns
Yeah.
with the same kids, and no matter how much you say, you have to go ask me at the very beginning of class or the very end of class, you still have those same kids. And I often say, like, I kind of just say, if you're having an emergency that has to do with the bathroom, just get up and go. You don't have to have a conversation with me about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that most of the time, I don't think that's the case, and I think kids just want to leave, and so I'll say, all right, well, wait till I finish going over this, and then they never ask me again. So I
Yeah.
know that it's not
An emergency.
an emergency, but that's always a tricky thing, because
Yeah, you don't wanna say no. to a
yes,
bathroom.
because we all know what it's like to really up in the mountains.
Yeah.
So, but I think that for 7th grade anyway, I don't wanna speak for the other grades, seems to be more, or they always wanna go get a drink, and I say, well, you're not gonna die of thirst in English class, you can just wait until the end of class. But that's a little easier,
Mhm.
and a lot of the kids can bring their own water bottles
Yeah.
anyway, but the bathroom for 7th grade, I think, is more like they always wanna go.
Every
Do your-
once in a while, there's an incident where somebody has
Yes.
splashed water around or, that kind of stuff.
Toilet water.
Right.
A couple years ago, I remember
Toilet
that.
water incident.
Yeah, the famous toilet water incident.
Okay,
Yeah.
any other,
I don't know that our
Same.
bus getting on or off the bus, I don't know if that's a problem. I don't really hear much about
I mean,
You know, they're kind of just like, they wanna get to
it.
the bus.
Yeah, right,
just
that's
go.
what-
Yeah.
right,
That's the one time that they're actually like.
yeah.
I know, and Sally is typically, or Diane is out there
Yeah.
at dismissal anyway, but yeah, they just wanna get on the bus, and we don't have bus monitors, but the bus drivers are really good about communicating with the office, and we do sometimes occasionally have kids that will get in trouble
Yeah.
for bus behavior, but it's not something that's like pervasive here,
Okay. Okay.
For the most part, it sounds like they all just have their headphones in and like.
Yeah, they're all listening to
Wonderful.
music or playing a game or something, so they, that's where sort of technology has helped probably with like bus behavior, cause they've got something to focus on
Right.
rather than fooling around, so.
Do you allow cell phones in school?
It's teacher discretion,
Okay.
like, and there's different rules, like the high school kids can use them at lunch, and they can use them in between classes in the hallway, that's a new rule, that
Okay.
used to not in the lunch. So they have that privilege. In terms of middle school, it's teacher discretion, it's supposed to be for something educational, but if the kids are doing independent work, I have a group of kids who focus much better if they're listening to music, and I mean, or if a lot of kids read on their phones, so I do allow the use of devices, but it's controlled, it's
Sure.
not sort of
Yeah.
just
Okay.
this haphazard thing, and they know that, they're not supposed to have their phones out unless it's like, and they're good about asking me, can I look this up for what I'm doing, or can I read on my phone, or can I listen to music while I'm doing this assignment? So I find they don't abuse that privilege, but it is still something that is up to the teacher in the classroom, so it's gonna vary from classroom to classroom.
Okay. Same, do you guys agree with that, or?
Yeah, well, I had seen, before we kind of rolled up that, little behavior plan, I was seeing that they were starting to become comfortable, like at the beginning of the year, never saw them.
Yeah.
Then I saw slowly they would be sneaking around, so we said we see them, like if you don't ask permission and we see them, we're just taking them, so.
Okay.
And I've had to take a few, I just put them on my desk, so now I don't see them at all.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and I mean, you also have the option, I mean, a first time offense it goes to the office, not every, I mean, sometimes I'll throw it in my desk, other times I won't, but once the office starts recording it, then it starts a pattern of like, there's like 3 strikes and you're out, and then you can't, like the second time your parent has to come get it, the
Okay.
third time you can't bring it to school anymore.
Right.
And they're aware of that. But
Yeah.
I find that they don't abuse the privilege, because I'm pretty clear that if I catch you doing something you're not supposed to be doing on there, you're just not gonna be able to do it anymore. Like
Okay.
that's
I don't know
just,
where they're
and that's sort of my classroom
Okay.
rule, and, but, we do a lot of, I give the kids like sustained style and reading time and things like that, and just so many of them are using their books. I mean, they're not using books anymore, they're using their phones, so
Yeah.
I kind of have to let them do it. So.
Okay. Thanks, Kim.
Wow.
That's awesome. I want to take a good look at that. Or we can let our coach explain it.
Oh, no, that's cool.
Mine doesn't necessarily is ginormous, is the one I have. I feel like mine's really.
All right, so determination here is defined as problem solving, perseverance, desire to succeed, and pride. Education, critical thinking, access to resources, technology, which we were just talking about, and effective communication. Enrichment, creativity, extracurricular opportunities, confidence, applying knowledge outside of school. And responsibility, strong sense of community, service to others, collaboration, self-reflection, respect and empathy for others, and positive contributions to the community. Those are great. You did it, you guys did all this last year?
Yeah.
Wow. Must have been a little, hi.
Now we have two.
That's her, oh, perfect, thank you. One for the back of the room and one for the front.
I told you, that one's bigger, that's the one I have in my room, it seems bigger.
Oh, you can cut the sides off,
Yeah.
so that's what it is.
So are these are in everyone's room?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a long process, Ken and Linda and I choosing the font and the coloring and all of that.
Well, it looks
Once
nice.
it was done.
Okay. I'll put it back here for,
I think that like some of us, a lot of those can be connected to academics, but some of them can be connected to behavior, and we struggle sometimes with how do we assess this, or how do we monitor this, and perhaps what we're creating here will support some of those things on there that we struggle a little bit as teachers to sort of define, or,
Yep.
you know, like just looking at like, you know, respect and empathy for others, that's something we say we teach, but how does that play out in a classroom setting?
right,
And I'm not saying that we are focusing on that particularly with this, but that's an example of something that, you know, I know the last time we did the mission statement for NES, there were also some things like that. We're like, well, how are we gonna manage this or assess it, or see how that students are like learning this?
Yeah.
And so like, I think those are the pieces on there that this could help out with. Because
Okay.
the academic piece, I think we're kind of all set on how to do that.
Yep.
But anyway.
no, I agree, I think these are all great, you know, core values, beliefs, characteristics, great social skills, and I think through this, we can define these things a little bit more and what it looks like. Because, you know, if you talk to a behaviorist or a BCBA, they'll say that, you know, you can only change what you can observe. So on the inside, someone might feel bad for someone, they might not feel bad for someone, and we can ask them, and they may report accurately or they may not report accurately. And so really all we know is that if I'm, that I can say, I feel bad for Sally because, you know, something just happened, like her cat passed away and I feel bad for that. But my behavior is that I'm kind of snarky and mean and not that nice. So